A Jedi falls in love with a redeemed Darksider. Sound familiar? Video games have been the playground for this type of story. In the Knights of the Old Republic video game, we see Bastila Shan, that's for you, kings, fall in love with Darth Revan. And history repeats itself in the Jedi video game series, recently confirmed in its sequel, Jedi Survivor. Why do opposites attract? And why is it that video games most often showcase that trope so well? All right, Kyle.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I mean, did you get to see like the full story of Jedi Survivor and stuff like that?
I did. Yeah, I'd only played through Fallen Order, but I'm glad you sent me those like kind of the game,
movies,
the movie
yeah, the
links.
Game movies, yeah.
Wow, just wow. I mean, I love seeing their relationship develop because, I mean, there were so much enemies. I mean, she tried to kill him a few times when they first met,
to lovers, right? Yeah, enemies to lovers.
Yeah, I mean, this was, oh my God. Yeah, they've come a long way in Survivor. And the one thing I noticed with the title you had up there, Darksider, like I mean, I don't think she was ever like.
Oh, no,
are they all
absolutely
considered Darksiders? The Nightsisters there?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
They
Not
are.
Sith necessarily,
They're just
but they're considered
misunderstood.
Darksiders.
Like,
Yeah,
That's understood.
they're not Sith, right? They're not Sith.
Right.
But they use the dark side to fuel their magic.
Okay,
So
yeah.
they're proficient in the dark side. It's
because
weird.
especially
And-
even when she does that whole like when you fight one of us, you fight all of us, and then brings
Right.
back all the
Yes.
the dead.
yes,
I mean,
the
that's definitely not
resurrection.
good. But I didn't know if like she was really
Not good.
considered evil.
Not good. No, she's definitely a dark sider, and I think, I think that and Kings is gonna kill me because I always say Bastila, and he's like, or I always say Bastila Shan. That's how I say it, and he always gets on me about it's Bastila, it's Bastila. I'm like, listen, it's Bastila. Okay. All right, so we get into it. But Darth Revan and Bastila were like, one of the first ones that kind of had that they are in fact the first dyad. So yes, Darth Revan and Bastila Shan are the first dyad. So when Emperor Palpatine says hasn't been seen in generations, he means
Right.
them. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I think that and guys, if there's you that don't know, I had a tiny bit of to do with the Jedi series. I've been in the video game industry for a long time, and I have all kinds of connections into that world. So I think one of the things that we were looking for was, I mean, everybody loves Darth Revan. He is a favorite, okay, of a lot of fans. And I think generally the Old Republic as a whole is like the part of the fandom that most people can really agree on, even though the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, there's so many like naysayers and yaysayers and all that kind of stuff on that. But most of those groups can agree. But the Old Republic, though, right? They're just very, those stories are just, tried and true. And I think, when we set out to do Jedi in the Jedi series, we really wanted to harken back to Knights of the Old Republic and the story of Darth Revan and Bastila Shan. And I want to say Cal Kestis and Merrin, they kind of mirror that a little bit,
Yeah, I can see that.
kind of opposites, right? Where Bastila was the Jedi,
Right.
and Cal is the Jedi. So like the gender swapping kind of situation there, but yeah, Nightsisters are typically they're 100% Darksider, but they're not. They don't do good. They don't.
Right.
They're not typically good. And I think one of the things that I loved about Merrin was just that, she still utilizes all her abilities, but she does it for
Right.
good. Now,
Well, yeah, like when she cloaked the mantis, that was cool. That was a great use of her power there.
her magic, yeah.
But I feel like in terms of like a dyad, they're getting there, but it's like maybe that's in the next one or something like because it's
well,
they're connected and they're starting to use their powers together, but I don't think it's anywhere as close as what like Ben and Rey have. Like they're still building trust throughout even that sequel game, and that was kind of one of like the key points of it. Even that the scene where they fight that giant crab robot or whatever in the canyon, and she's asking him to go through this green swirling portal that she just made, and he's like, she says, just trust me. He's like, okay. You know?
and she's like, she's like, do you trust me? And he's like,
right.
You see him
I
take
don't
a
know.
moment, right?
We're not quite
He's
there
like,
yet.
He takes a moment. He's like, but then he's like, yes, and then she kisses him, and it's like, and we're like, yay! We all love the love story there, right? And it's a great thing. I think one of the things that is exciting about the possibility of what is happening between Cal Kestis and Merrin, to me, as a storyteller, is how much when we do bring them into the story, they're much older, right? Just because that the timelines align, right? In that sense. You have to understand that Cal Kestis is 13 years older than Luke. So, Kyle's like, wait, yeah?
I didn't even know. I didn't even put that. Yeah, the timelines.
Yeah. He was, Luke was born right at Order 66, and right at Order 66, Cal was 13. Right. So, he's, he comes in, when he comes in as Grandmaster Jedi Cal Kestis. Like, probably one of the few that's still alive from that time.
Yeah, because how far after, or how long after Survivor is this? This has been like 40 years or something by the time he's in this?
Yeah, by the time he's in this, Jedi Survivor is about, I want to say it's 9 or 10 years after Order 66, where Fallen Order was 5 years after Order 66. Because Cal was like 19, 20-ish in Fallen Order, and now he's like 24, 25 in Survivor. So he's coming, into our story as someone with a formidable amount of talent with the Force and, that kind of stuff. And with his own children, right? And having Kata Akuna as like, and then she becomes kind of the. I'm about to spoil it for everybody. I know if you have not played it. If you have not played it, but I know Kyle. Sorry, Kyle did see the movie, right? So like, so he kind of has like a pseudo adopted daughter. But I think one of the interesting things there is just how much Ben and Rey are going to draw upon the experience that Cal Kestis has with, with Merrin, and the experience that he has in building that together, and still being a Jedi all of this time, yet still being very, very much a husband and father now, which is where, Ben is going, right? So how much of that journey they can draw from Cal and Merrin is going to be really interesting.
Right.
And that's some of the parallels. What's interesting to me with Cal and Merrin is how she, like you've said, comes from like a dark side kind of perspective of this thing, and yet in their relationship, Cal keeps finding himself being drawn to the darkness. Like whenever things are going horribly, he can kind of tap into that and like give in to the darkness and get this power. But it's always her that keeps bringing him back. That keeps him from going over the edge. And that, to me, it just blows me away that someone that had this kind of dark past is his light. That's his light. I love that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think that's really an important characteristic of them too, and an important parallel between Ben and Rey and Cal and Merrin, right? I mean, they don't become a dyad because dyads are kind of born that way, right? So basically what happened with Ben and Rey, like in story, in canon, is when Ben fell to the dark side, the Force answered that by
Wow.
birthing Rey, with Rey's birth, and so they
Wow.
were connected intrinsically from her birth onward.
Wow.
So there's like a cosmic element to that. So Cal and Merrin don't have that. So I want to say
Right.
that they function, but they function more like a pseudo dyad, if that's a thing. Where when they fight together, I mean, you see it in Survivor, when they fight together, they really like play off of each other's strengths, and it's really amazing to see that. Yeah, for
And
sure.
even combining force abilities, like that was so cool when she's pulling up all the, I don't know if it was pieces of a machine or the rock or whatever, and holds them in place with her energy, and then he just force pushes the whole mass. Like that was like, yes.
That was really cool. That was really cool.
Oh yeah, I love seeing those little combo fusion moves.
Their power and and just think about what that looks like in Jedi Survivor, where they're 24 and 25, right? What that power will look like when we step into our episode 11.
Right.
Imagine like the level up that's going to have over that time, and just imagine. I mean, what do you think they will have to teach Ben and Rey at that point?
With each other, I mean, it's patience and understanding, and I mean, they've both been through a lot. Like, and even Ben and Rey, clearly, but like. With Cal and Merrin, it's like they've lost everyone. They, whether it was the Jedi Order or the Nightsisters, they've been through so much trauma and tragedy, and there are gonna be things that happen, things that each other say or do that could trigger that and bring that back. And it's like, how do you mend that? How do you kind of work through that with each other? And I think that by this point, 40, 50 years on, they'll have had plenty of experience with that, and they're going to be able to help them find ways to work together, to compromise on things, to find solutions that involve both of them as opposed to one of them just running headlong into something. I think that's going to be invaluable to Ben and Rey going forward, just finding a way to work together and with others on top of that, because we're going to have this whole new Jedi Order, and I just can't wait. And the power, oh my goodness, look at them in their 20s. I mean, like this, like to think of them as in their 60s or 70s, like how effortless it was for Yoda to lift an X-wing out of a swamp, right? Like that kind of increase in power with both of them. I just can't wait to see how it plays out.
It's exponential.
Yeah, and it builds upon itself, right? Because you have so much trial and error, right? It's not like, and I think I love that about Cal in Jedi Survivor, because there were instances where like you could see him falling to those dark side tendencies, and he has to like check himself. That's something that he can then now take forward. He's like, I know how to pull myself back out. And I feel like Ben, and even more so the little Solo children, will need those lessons, right? So all right, so I think that's we're gonna move on to our last topic before we open it up to a few questions.